The National Child Protection Council has provided some recommendations to the Minister of Social Services. Immigration Minister responds to Bahamas Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union's claims and the Nurses Union expressing concerns. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's Tuesday, February 2nd. It's good having you with us. Minister of Social Services Frankie Campbell providing an update on best practices for corporal punishment within the country's children's homes following that horrific social media video of alleged child abuse at the Children's Emergency Hostel. The minister spoke with reporters just before the weekly cabinet meeting. Here's our Laurencia Smith with that update.
Recommendations have been given to the Social Services Minister by the National Child Protection Council following the investigation into alleged child abuse, or what the Minister of Social Services and Urban Development Frankie Campbell called corporal punishment. 2 weeks ago, a video emerged of youngsters at the Children's Emergency Hostel being held down and beaten. Minister Campbell providing details of the recommendations to the media this morning just before the weekly cabinet meeting.
Among the recommendations are that we cease any form of corporal punishment immediately until further discussion. And so we've agreed and accepted that recommendation, and we will notify all employees, all staff members of children's homes in writing and have them sign to show that they are aware of the missive, that there will be no corporal punishment in any form.
Since the release of the video and investigations into the matter, the minister announced that several of the employees of the home were relieved of their duties pending the police investigations. Minister Campbell shares that there are plans for a compliance system where senior officers of the ministry will visit homes to ensure the necessary protocols are being followed.
There is also a recommendation for what I would term top brass visitation, meaning some person of a higher rank from the Ministry of Social Services, the Department of Social Services, who is attached at the home, will visit on a regular basis to ensure that logs are being properly kept and maintained. We also accept a recommendation from the council that some member of the council will also visit randomly to ensure that there is oversight.
Social Services officials shared during the initial stages of the matter that children would receive independent counseling. The minister shares how those sessions are going.
I can't speak to how the sessions have been going, but I can say that we have the assistance of the Ministry of Education. Their counseling department is assisting us to ensure that there is independent counseling. One of the other things that we're going to make sure that we have in place is, as soon as practicable, at the admission stage, there is an evaluation of each child to determine where they're at and how best to address them on an individual basis.
Minister Campbell says that he has spoken with the chairman of the hostel, adding that he will share the police report with him once it has been finalized before it is shared with the public. I'm Laurencia Smith for JCN News.
Bahamas Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union, BCIAWU, taking issue with the appointment of a new assistant director at the Department of Immigration. Yesterday, the union filed a trade dispute and held a press conference outside the immigration headquarters, threatening to strike. Union President Sloan Smith says the appointment breaches the industrial agreement.
I asked Human Resource here, can you give me a copy of the advertisement of this promotion exercise? The lady said she don't have any. So when did this happen? We are in partnership with the government of the Bahamas, whoever that government is of the day. We have an agreement with them. At least the union ought to know so that we can give our people an opportunity. Are you telling me there's no capable person in immigration? I say no. And who trying to peddle that? I curse that in Jesus' name. You can't bring that foolishness to me.
Minister of Financial Services, Trade and Industry and Immigration, Ellsworth Johnson, just ahead of the weekly cabinet meeting, responding to the union's claims, as well as the appointment of the new assistant director in the person of Stuart Curtis, who the minister suggested would lead the complaints and corruption section of the Department of Immigration. He says with that appointment, he is confident.
We've invited the community to lead and civil society to lead the process in a secret shopper program. That's from the immigrant community too, to assess the minister and you all know the complaints. I can tell you of files that have been missing. People who entered the Bahamas and documents aren't stamped. People who've served time in other countries, deported from the Bahamas and miraculously end back up in this country, right? And so the conventional wisdom in terms of complaints and corruption is that the institution that is to conduct that, or the person that is to conduct that, should be external to the organization.
Members of the BCIAWU are also frustrated because in addition to their members being overlooked for promotions, there is supposed to be a moratorium on hiring. But new people are being hired and appointed to positions above long-standing and deserving officers. The BCIAWU is also seeking to have the government work more closely with them as it relates to promotions and succession planning. Minister Johnson adds that the process of promotions is almost complete.
Unofficially, I've told the president of the union where that is. We're in the process of appointing 2 deputy directors, a number of assistant directors. There are persons who have gone home. But before that can be done, there are some young officers who have been trainee officers for years. There are some young officers who don't have their confirmation letters. And they've been approaching me on the sidelines to say, listen, we're entitled to be promoted also. And so there are some ACRs that weren't produced in time. And so just like senior officers want to be promoted, the junior officers want to be promoted.
The immigration minister says there are a number of things that were done in the agency to respond so that the level of efficiency can be increased. Scores of peeved nurses flooded the courtyard of the Ministry of Health yesterday, demanding to be paid overtime for their work during the peak of the pandemic. Bahamas Nurses Union President Amanda Williams says after speaking to the minister, 85% of what's owed from Hurricane Dorian was paid to date. Overtime from March to September 2020 will be paid at the end of February, and she said that October-December probably won't be paid until March.
We were not pleased with the outcome. We were very disappointed. We felt that, the minister should have come out first and greet the nurses and express his gratitude of their hard work and make them to understand if it was an economical issue in the country.
The union president added that the BNU's industrial agreement, which ended in November, currently has a lump sum to be paid out. She added that the union agreed that it would wait until July of this year to receive increments, promotions that were on the desk for over 10 years, and confirmation letters that needed to be dispersed for nurses dating back to 3 to 4 years.
These nurses were the same nurse that had to wait for a year for their appointment letters and to be paid. You hit them with that blow. Then you come back, you work them very hard. Mind you, they don't have a problem working hard and sacrificing for their people in their community, because that's their brother, that's their sister, that's their member of the church. But they have a problem when you don't see the value and recognize the value that they bring to a community.
She says this leaves her members questioning whether they have chosen the right career. This after spending years studying, sometimes up to a master's degree.
This is why the nurse is picking up her bag early January 2021 and resigning. We're losing. And so these are the nurses that we've battered. And then they come back. They have to struggle again to get the overtime. They've already struggled to get hired and appointment letters and to be paid after waiting the whole year. You've already placed something in their hearts. This is a hard job you're not treated well on. They don't show you appreciation. This is what you put in them. This is the taste that you leave in their mouth.
The Nurses Union president says the union will meet at the ministry until the outstanding payments are made. Commissioner of Police Paul Rowe responding to if he believes the image of the Royal Bahamas Police Force has been tarnished by the Peter Nygaard documentary aired by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation last week. Commissioner Rowe says that he does not know that the image or reputation of the RBDF is damaged. Commissioner Rowe contends that as there are some allegations being made against Mr. Nygaard, that should be the focus and not the RBPF, saying, let us try and deal with that. Last year, December, Commissioner Rowe said that the longtime Lyford Key resident has never been interviewed by local police regarding sexual allegations against him. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs giving an update on the ongoing efforts of the Government of Canada to combat the spread of COVID-19 in Canada and the possible impact on Bahamians. In recent days, the Canadian government announced a number of new restrictions to prevent the further introduction of COVID-19 throughout Canada. Among those new measures is a suspension of all flights to and from Mexico and Caribbean countries. Based on an agreement with Canada's airlines and the government effective January 31st until April 30th, all flights to and from those areas are suspended. Also effective February 3rd and until further notice, the restrictions made under the Aeronautics Act, which were implemented since March 2020, will be expanded to include certain special flights to Canada. The ministry says that these flights will now be required to land at one of 4 Canadian airports. That's either Montreal Trudeau International, Toronto Pearson International, Calgary International, and Vancouver International airports. These special flights include scheduled commercial passenger flights from the United States, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America, international business private passenger flights from all countries, and international charter passenger flights from all countries. Foreign Affairs officials also outlined implications for citizens, permanent residents, students, and diplomats. It says an ongoing effort to discourage all forms of non-essential travel, arriving passengers into Canada will be required to provide proof of a negative pre-departure COVID-19 test, take a COVID-19 molecular test on arrival at their own cost, cleaning and security while awaiting the COVID-19 results taken upon arrival. These costs are estimated at $2,000 per person. The ministry says through the Bahamas High Commission in Canada, it will continue to monitor developments and keep the public informed as necessary. You're watching JCN News. When we return, the government anticipating 100,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine. Stay with us.